Let her wait out there. We're having dinner. Virginia's voice cut through the window like a knife. My own daughter-in-law had just condemned me to stand in the rain while they enjoyed their dinner. For 3 hours, I had been standing there. 3 hours getting soaked, while my family ate warmly inside the house I had helped them buy. But that night, I made a decision that brought them to their knees the very next day. My name is Esmeralda. I am 69 years old, and it all began that Friday morning when I woke up excited. After 3 months without seeing my grandson Ramiro, Óscar had finally invited me to dinner. "Mom, come over today at 6. We want to see you," he had said, in that sweet voice that always melted my heart. I've been a widow for 5 years. I had worked my whole life cleaning houses, selling food, doing whatever it took to raise my son. And now that he had his own family, I was still the one supporting them. Their bank accounts, the mortgage on the house, Ramiro's private school, the car payments, it all came from my pension and my life savings. But I didn't mind. They were my blood, my reason for living. I got ready with such care that afternoon. I chose my garnet-colored dress, the one that made me feel elegant despite my wrinkles. I put on my late mother's pearls and that French perfume I had bought on sale. I wanted to be perfect for my family. I walked to the toy store downtown and bought the Transformer robot Ramiro had asked for the last time we saw each other. I also stopped by the French bakery for the petits fours that Virginia loved so much. The bags were heavy in my arms, but my heart was light with happiness. I took the number 43 bus, the same one as always. A 45-minute journey, watching the city go by, imagining Ramiro's surprise when he saw his gift. It was a beautiful October afternoon. The sky was clear, and there was a soft breeze that reminded me of when Óscar was little, and we would go to feed pigeons in the square. I arrived at their residential neighborhood, the one that made me so proud, because I knew my effort had made it possible for them to live there. I walked the 4 blocks from the bus stop to their house, that 2-story house with a garden that had my name on the deed as the guarantor. I rang the doorbell at exactly 6 o'clock, as we had agreed, and that's when my nightmare began. Virginia opened the door with a forced smile. She was wearing an elegant black dress that I had given her last month. "Hello, Esmeralda," she said without inviting me in. "Look, you've come at a bad time. We have guests." "But Óscar invited me to dinner," I replied, confused, feeling the bags grow heavier. Yes, but you know what? Wait here a moment while I talk to him." "Yes." And she closed the door in my face. I stood on the doorstep, not understanding what had happened. I could hear voices inside, laughter, the clinking of glasses. It smelled of roast meat, wine, and celebration. But I was outside. I waited 5 minutes, 10, 15. I rang the bell again. This time, Óscar opened it. My son, my pride, the man for whom I had sacrificed everything. "Mom, what are you still doing here?" he asked with an uncomfortable smile. "You told me to come for dinner, son. Here I am." He glanced back as if consulting with someone. "Look, Mom, some of Virginia's friends showed up unexpectedly, and we don't have enough food. How about you come tomorrow instead?" It felt like I had been slapped. I had spent my last pesos on those gifts. I had taken 2 buses. I had dressed up so carefully. "But son, you invited me. I brought gifts for Ramiro, and I know, Mom, but understand, it's complicated." Virginia appeared behind him with a glass of wine in her hand. "Esmeralda, it was really a misunderstanding. Let's coordinate for another day, okay? When we have more time to give you the attention you deserve." As if I were a burden. As if I needed to be attended to, out of pity. Just then, I heard Ramiro's voice from inside. "Who is it, Dad?" "No one important, son. Keep eating," Óscar replied. "No one important." His own grandmother. No one important. "All right," I managed to whisper. "I'm leaving." But instead of leaving, I just stood there. I didn't know what to do, where to go. The buses didn't run as frequently at that hour. And then, it started to rain. At first, it was a gentle drizzle, tiny drops landing on my freshly styled hair. But in minutes, it turned into a torrential downpour, soaking my garnet dress, the one I had chosen with such care. I took shelter under the small overhang of the entrance, pressed against the door of my own family. I could perfectly hear the conversations from inside. Laughter, toasts, and background music. "Who was that, honey?" I heard an unfamiliar female voice ask. "Óscar's mom." Virginia replied with an annoyed tone. She showed up unannounced. "But I invited her." My son protested weakly. "Oh, Óscar, you know she makes me nervous when she comes over. She always finds something to complain about. The house, how we're raising Ramiro, everything." My heart broke a little more. What did I complain about? I had never said a word out of place. I always praised them, defended them, admired them. Besides, Virginia continued, you know how she gets when she drinks wine. She becomes so intense, so emotional, intense emotional. They barely offered me a glass of water when I visited. The rain grew heavier, and I stood there like a wet statue, listening to them talk about me behind my back. What if she gets sick out there? Oscar asked with a hint of concern. Don't be so dramatic. She's probably gone by now. Your mom is tougher than she looks. But I hadn't left. I couldn't leave. It was as if my legs had taken root in that marble floor I had helped pay for. An hour passed. Water seeped into my shoes. I felt my clothes sticking to my wrinkled skin. I shivered from the cold. But something inside me refused to move. I rang the doorbell again. This time, they took a long time to answer. When they finally did, it was Oscar, with an expression of annoyance. Mom, are you still here? You're going to get sick. Son, please. Just let me in to dry off. I promise I won't bother anyone. It's just that, Mom. The guests are uncomfortable. It's nothing personal, but I'm your mother, Oscar. The woman who gave you life, who worked day and night so you could study, who is still paying the bills for this house. His face hardened. There you go again. This is why Virginia doesn't want you coming over so often. You turn everything into a drama. A drama. Asking for a little respect was a drama. Son, I just want to be with my family. Is that too much to ask? Oscar closed the door. You're letting all the cold air in, Virginia shouted from inside. And my son, my own son, obeyed. He closed the door without another word. I was left there, in the rain, feeling my tears mix with the water falling from the sky. The bags with the gifts were soaked, the wrapping paper dissolving in my hands. I walked to the dining room window. Through the lace curtains I had given them last year, I could see the perfect scene. The table was set with fine china, crystal glasses sparkling under the chandelier's light, and elegant people chatting animatedly. There was my grandson Ramiro, sitting in his high chair, eating peacefully. My grandson, for whom I bought clothes, toys, for whom I paid for the most expensive school in the city. Ramiro, I whispered, pressing my face against the fogged window. At that moment, Ramiro turned towards the window. Our eyes met for a second. He saw me there, drenched, shivering with cold. But instead of running to the door to hug me, he just kept eating as if nothing had happened. It was then that I overheard the conversation that completely shattered me. See? She's still there, Virginia said to her friend, pointing towards the window where I stood. Aren't you going to let her in? Poor thing, she's soaked. Not a chance. Let her wait out there if she wants. We're having a peaceful dinner, and I'm not going to let her ruin our evening. But she's the boy's grandmother. She's a very complicated woman. She always wants to be the center of attention. If I let her in, she'll start with her dramas, her reproaches, her laments. No, thank you. Oscar intervened weakly. Virginia, maybe we could what? Let her ruin our night. Your mother has to learn she can't just show up whenever she feels like it. But I invited her. You invited her because you felt sorry for her, as always. But look at the situation she's put us in. Our guests are wondering what's going on. The boy is confused. Ramiro, my beloved grandson, looked up from his plate. Why don't we let Grandma in? Because the adults are talking about important things, my love. Your grandma is leaving soon. But I wasn't leaving. I couldn't leave. It was as if the pain had nailed me to the ground. 2 more hours passed. 2 whole hours under that relentless rain that seemed to mock my misery. I could no longer feel my fingers. The cold had seeped so deep into my bones that I wasn't even shivering anymore. It was as if my body had accepted defeat, but my soul was still burning with humiliation. 3 full hours. 180 minutes of my life wasted, under that rain while my family dined as if I didn't exist. Water streamed down my face, washing away the makeup I had so carefully applied. My garnet dress, the one that made me feel elegant, now clung to my body, like a second cold, wet skin. The gift bags were a disaster. The wrapping paper had completely disintegrated, revealing the soaked box of Ramiro's robot. The petits fours had turned into a mushy paste inside their elegant packaging. But what hurt the most wasn't the cold, the rain, or the ruined clothes. It was realizing that to my own family, I was nothing more than an inconvenience. Just then, I heard footsteps approaching from the hallway inside. My heart leaped with hope. Maybe Oscar is coming to get me, I thought. Maybe he's realized what's happening. But it wasn't Oscar. It was Virginia, walking towards the window with a glass of red wine in her hand. She approached the curtains and pulled them slightly aside to look out. She saw me there, soaked, shivering, with the ruined bags at my feet. and she smiled. It wasn't a smile of pity or concern. It was a smile of satisfaction, as if she were enjoying my suffering. She stood there for a few seconds, watching me as if I were a show. Then, she calmly returned to the dining table. "Is she still there?" her friend asked. "Yes, like an abandoned dog," Virginia replied with a cruel little laugh. "But she'll get tired and leave eventually. Don't you feel sorry for her?" "Sorry, not at all. She's a manipulative woman. This is all just a show to make us feel guilty." A show. Manipulation. When the only thing I had ever done in my life was love my family, work for them, and sacrifice everything for their well-being. Besides, Virginia continued, raising her voice so I could hear her clearly, it was about time someone set some boundaries with her. She's always believed that just because she pays for a few things, she can show up whenever she wants. A few things. As if the 50,000 pesos I transferred to their accounts every month were a few things. As if the mortgage, Ramiro's school, health insurance, and credit cards were a few things. "If I were you, I'd let her in," the friend insisted. "She looks terrible out there." "Well, it's a good thing you're not me. This is my house, and I decide who comes in." Her house. The house that had my name as the guarantor on all the documents. The house whose payments came out of my account every month. Óscar appeared in the dining room. I could see his silhouette through the curtains. "Virginia, it's 9 o'clock. My mom has been out there for 3 hours. She's going to get sick. Then she should leave. No one is forcing her to stay. But she has no way to get home. The buses don't run this late. Then she can call a taxi, or walk. It's not my problem." Walking was more than 10 kilometers to my house, and a taxi would cost all the money I had in my purse. "Virginia, please, she's my mother, and for that very reason, she should respect us. But no, she always has to be the victim, the martyr we all have to worship." At that moment, Ramiro got up from the table and ran to the window. "Grandma, Grandma Esme," he shouted, pressing his little hands against the glass. My heart fluttered with joy. My grandson had seen me. He was calling for me. But Virginia grabbed him by the arm and pulled him back. "Ramiro, no, your grandmother is playing a game to make herself the victim. Don't pay attention to her." "But it's raining and she's all wet." Adults sometimes do strange things to get attention. "Your grandma will leave when she gets tired of her tantrum." A tantrum. Standing there in the rain, waiting for my family to show me a minimum of respect, was a tantrum. "Óscar, control your son," Virginia told my son in an authoritarian tone, and Óscar, as always, obeyed. "Come here, Ramiro. Leave your grandma alone." "But Dad," no buts. "Your mother is right. Grandma will leave when she wants to." My grandson looked at me one last time through the glass. In his eyes, I saw confusion, sadness, but also something that broke my soul. Fear. Fear of disobeying his parents. Fear of defending his grandmother. And in that moment, I knew I had lost them forever. The rain kept falling on my head, but I no longer felt it. The emotional pain had surpassed any physical discomfort. I took my soaked cell phone out of my purse. I had several messages from my neighbor, Amalia, asking how dinner was. "Everything okay, Esme? How's my beautiful grandson?" I couldn't reply. I had no words to explain what I was going through. Instead, I dialed another number. A number I knew by heart, but never thought I would use in a situation like this. The phone rang once, twice, 3 times. National Bank Customer Service. Patricia speaking. "How can I help you?" "Good evening," I said, my voice breaking from the cold and emotion. "I need to freeze some accounts." "Of course, ma'am. Can you please provide your client number and ID?" My voice trembled. I didn't know if it was from the cold or the decision I was about to make. With numb fingers, I entered the numbers the operator requested. "Perfect. Mrs. Esmeralda Vasquez. I see you are the primary holder of several accounts and a guarantor on several others. Which one specifically do you need to freeze?" I took a deep breath. Through the window, I could see Virginia serving dessert to her guests. Ramiro was laughing at something one of the adults had said. Óscar was toasting with a glass of wine that probably cost more than I spent on food in a week. "All of them," I replied with the firmness I didn't know I possessed. "I want to freeze every account where I appear as the primary holder or guarantor." "I understand. May I ask the reason?" "This is for the report." "Suspicion of unauthorized use," I lied without blinking. "Very well. I see here we have the payroll account ending in 4587, the savings account ending in 2841, and the joint accounts ending in 7890 and 5432. You also appear as a guarantor on a mortgage and 2 credit cards. Do you wish to freeze everything?" Every number she mentioned was a piece of my life. the payroll account where my pension was deposited, the savings I had built peso by peso over 40 years of work, the joint accounts Oscar had access to for household expenses, and Ramiro's education. Everything, I repeated. Ma'am, I must inform you that this means no one will be able to make withdrawals, transfers, or use the associated cards until you authorize them to be unfrozen. Are you sure? Through the window, I saw Virginia rise elegantly from the table with a grace that only comes from years of not worrying about money. She headed towards the kitchen, probably to pour more wine. Completely sure. Perfect. The process will take approximately 2 hours to take effect. Do you need anything else? Yes. I want confirmation of all blocked operations sent to my email. Of course. Your request has been logged with case number 789456. Is there anything else I can help you with? No, thank you. I hung up the phone with a strange sense of peace. For the first time in 3 hours, I smiled. I walked away from the window and went to the front door one last time. I rang the bell insistently, as if it were an emergency. This time, a clearly annoyed Virginia opened it. Esmeralda, what part of you can't come in did you not understand? I just came to say goodbye, I said with a calm that unnerved her. Goodbye. Yes, I got the message. I'm not welcome in this house. I could see her expression change slightly. Maybe she expected tears, pleading, drama. Well, I'm glad you finally understood. I just want you to know one thing, I continued with a serene smile. Starting tomorrow, you're going to have to learn to live on your own resources. What do you mean by that? Nothing important, just that I think it's time for you and Oscar to become fully responsible for your own expenses. Virginia laughed with contempt. Please, Esmeralda, don't threaten me. We know you can't live without us, without Ramiro, without Oscar. Your whole life revolves around this family. You're right. My life has revolved around you. But tonight, that changed. Oh, really? And what are you going to do? Go live alone with your cats? I'm going to be happy, I replied simply. How dramatic, please. Oscar appeared behind her. Mom, are you leaving? Do you need money for a taxi? The same son who had closed the door in my face was now worried about how I would get home. I don't need anything from you, son. Not anymore. Don't be like that, Mom. You know how Virginia gets when she has guests. We'll talk tomorrow. There's nothing to talk about, Oscar. Why are you being so weird? It's like something happened to you. I burst out laughing. A bitter but liberating laugh. Yes, something happened. I realized I've been wasting my life. Mom, don't exaggerate. I'm not exaggerating. I'm being realistic for the first time in years. Virginia grew impatient. All right, enough. If you're done with your soap opera, we have guests waiting. Of course. Go back to your dinner. Enjoy your perfect life. I turned and started walking towards the street. Mom! Oscar yelled. How are you going to get home? That's no longer your problem, I replied without turning back. I walked in the rain, soaked, with the ruined gift bags dangling from my arms. But for the first time all night, I felt light. I reached the main avenue and hailed a taxi. The driver, an older man, looked at me with concern. Ma'am, are you all right? You're soaked. I'm perfect, I replied. And it was true. During the whole ride home, I couldn't stop smiling. In my purse, my phone vibrated with the confirmation from the bank. Dear customer, we confirm that all your accounts have been successfully frozen. No transactions can be made until further authorization. Tomorrow was going to be a very interesting day. I arrived home around 11 p.m. Completely soaked, but with a strange sense of freedom I hadn't felt in years. I took off the ruined garnet dress, took a hot shower, and put on my most comfortable pajamas. For the first time in a long time, I slept soundly, without nightmares, without worries about Oscar's expenses, without anxiety about pleasing Virginia. It was as if I had left a 100-pound weight at the door of that house. I woke up the next day with the sun streaming through my window. It was 8 a.m., and I felt renewed. I made my usual black coffee, toast with homemade jam, and sat on my small balcony to enjoy breakfast. My phone had been silent all night. I checked it and had no messages. That's strange, I thought. Oscar usually texts to see if I got home okay. But then I remembered the previous night and understood that things had changed forever. At 9:30, my doorbell rang. I looked out the window and saw my neighbor, Amalia, at the door with a bag of sweet bread. Good morning, Esme. How was dinner last night? You look so relaxed. I told her everything, every detail of my humiliation, every cruel word from Virginia, every moment in the rain. Amalia listened with her eyes growing wider and wider. I can't believe they did that to you, she said, indignant. After everything you've done for them. I don't care anymore, Amalia. For the first time in my life, I decided for myself. You froze all the accounts. All of them. And I don't plan on unfreezing them until they beg for my forgiveness on their knees. Amalia laughed. I love this new Esmeralda. It's about time. We were chatting when my phone started ringing like crazy. It was Óscar. Answer it, Amalia said with a mischievous grin. This is going to be good. Hello. Mom, what did you do? Good morning, son. How are you? Mom, don't play innocent. The cards aren't working. Virginia went to the supermarket, and all her purchases were declined. We went to the bank, and they told us the accounts are frozen. Oh, yes. They are. Why did you do that? Because it's my money, Óscar. And I've decided I no longer want to share it with people who disrespect me. Mom, don't exaggerate. Virginia was just nervous about the guests. You know how she is. I know exactly how she is. That's why I made this decision. But you can't do this. We have expenses, commitments. Ramiro's school payment is due today. That's no longer my problem. What do you mean it's not your problem? He's your grandson. My grandson, who saw me in the rain yesterday and didn't lift a finger to help me. I could hear Virginia yelling something in the background. Virginia says, if you don't unfreeze the accounts, she's going to have to get a job. What wonderful news. It's about time. Mom, please, come to the house and let's talk. I am not setting foot in that house until Virginia apologizes for treating me like a stray dog. You're exaggerating. 3 hours in the rain is an exaggeration. Óscar fell silent. Mom, look, Virginia says. She says maybe she misspoke yesterday. Maybe she misspoke. I repeated so Amalia could hear. My friend covered her mouth to keep from laughing. Yeah, you know how she is when she's stressed. Son, I'm going to tell you something, and I want you to listen carefully. For 5 years, I have paid your mortgage, your credit cards, Ramiro's school, the groceries, the gas, the health insurance, the vacations, everything, and the only payment I've received in return has been humiliation. That's not true. No? When was the last time Virginia thanked me for anything? When was the last time you invited me to dinner, without me having to beg? When was the last time my opinions were treated with respect? Óscar didn't answer. Exactly, never. But Mom, we're family. Family respects each other, son. And you lost that right yesterday. I hung up and put the phone on silent. Amalia applauded. Bravo! You gave me chills. I'm so proud of you. Thanks. But this is just the beginning. 30 minutes later, my doorbell rang. I looked out the window and saw Óscar's car parked outside. Both he and Virginia got out and headed for my door. They're here, I told Amalia. Do you want me to leave? Not at all. Stay. I need a witness. I opened the door before they could knock. Virginia's eyes were red and swollen, as if she'd been crying. Óscar looked desperate. Mom, please, we need to talk. We can talk right here on the doorstep. Amalia will stay as a witness. A witness to what? Virginia asked, her voice cracking. To whatever you're about to say. Virginia took a step closer. Esmeralda, I'm so sorry about yesterday. I was stressed with the guests, and I didn't think about the consequences of my words. What words specifically? Well, when I said you should wait outside. Is that all? Virginia looked at Óscar for help. I'm also sorry for making you wait so long. How long exactly? I don't know, an hour. 3 hours, Virginia. 3 hours in the rain. Yes, 3 hours. I'm very sorry. And what else are you sorry for? What else? Virginia, you said a lot of things yesterday. That I was manipulative. That it was all for show. That I should wait outside like an abandoned dog. Virginia's face crumpled. I didn't say that. Yes, you did. And you also said I was a complicated woman. That I always wanted to be the center of attention. That you had to set boundaries with me. Óscar looked at her, shocked. You said all that. Óscar, it doesn't matter what I said. The important thing is, I was upset and I wasn't thinking. It doesn't matter, I interrupted. Because those words showed what you really think of me. Esmeralda, please. Unfreeze the accounts and let's forget all this. No. What do you mean no? I'm not unfreezing anything until you give me a real apology. On your knees. On my knees? Virginia was outraged. That's humiliating. Just as it was humiliating for me to stand for 3 hours in the rain, waiting for my family to show me a little dignity. Óscar intervened. Mom, be reasonable. Virginia already apologized. That wasn't a sincere apology. It was an apology of convenience. What do you want me to do? Virginia asked desperately. I want you to kneel right here, in front of Amalia, as a witness, and ask for my forgiveness for every cruel thing you said to me yesterday. That's too much. Then there's no deal. I turned to go back inside. Wait, Virginia shouted. She looked at me with a mix of desperation and wounded pride. I could see her internal struggle between her need for the money and her resistance to humbling herself before me. Fine, she finally whispered. Óscar looked at her surprised. Virginia, you don't have to. Yes, I do, she interrupted, tears in her eyes. We have no choice. Slowly, very slowly, Virginia knelt on the floor of my entryway. Her knees touched the cold tiles that I had laid myself years ago, when I bought this little house with my savings. Esmeralda, she began, her voice cracking, I ask for your forgiveness for leaving you waiting in the rain. Continue, I said firmly. I ask for your forgiveness for calling you manipulative. And what else? Virginia took a deep breath, tears streaming down her cheeks. I ask for your forgiveness for saying it was all for show, for comparing you to an abandoned dog, for saying you were a complicated woman, and for what else? For saying I had to set boundaries with you, for not recognizing everything you've done for us, for disrespecting you in my own home. Amalia watched the scene with wide eyes. Óscar looked uncomfortable, shifting his feet nervously. And do you promise this will never happen again? I promise, Virginia whispered. I didn't hear you. I promise, she cried out in desperation. Get up, I said finally. Virginia rose slowly, wiping her tears with the back of her hand. Her elegant dress was now dusty at the knees. Very well, now for part two. Part two, Óscar asked, alarmed. Yes, the apology is just the first step. Now come the new rules. What rules? Virginia looked terrified. Sit here in the garden chairs. This will take a while. Óscar and Virginia sat like scolded school children. Amalia settled into her chair with a satisfied smile. Rule number 1, I began. I am no longer your personal bank. From now on, you will be responsible for all your own expenses. But Mom, let me finish. Óscar. Rule number 2, I will only transfer funds for Ramiro's basic expenses. His school, food, and clothing. Piano lessons, swimming, English. And all those extras are finished until you can pay for them yourselves. Virginia turned pale. Rule number 3, no more expensive restaurants, trips, designer clothes, or whims paid for with my money. Esmeralda, that's impossible. We can't live like that. Of course you can. Millions of families live on fewer resources and are perfectly happy. But we're used to. Exactly. You're used to living beyond your means using my money. That's over. Óscar intervened nervously. Mom, what if Virginia gets a job? Would you consider? Rule number 4, I continued, relentlessly. Virginia has 30 days to find a job. If she doesn't, I will cut off all financial support permanently. 30 days, Virginia exclaimed. That's not enough time. It's more time than you gave me yesterday to find shelter from the rain. Amalia nodded in approval. Rule number 5, my visits will be by specific invitation only. No more. Rule number 5, my visits will be by specific invitation only. No more, come whenever you want, and then making me wait at the door. Okay, Óscar mumbled. Rule number 6, when I am invited, you will treat me with the respect I deserve. No more making me feel like an unwelcome guest in the house I helped pay for. Yes, Mom. Rule number 7, Virginia will take classes on etiquette and respect for elders. That's humiliating. As humiliating as it was for me to hear your comments yesterday. Virginia looked at Óscar, pleading for help, but he was too scared to contradict me. Rule number 8, you will open a savings account and deposit 10% of any income you earn. It's time you learn to be financially responsible. But we don't have any income. Virginia protested. Then you'd better find a job quickly. Rule number 9, no more additional credit cards. The ones you have are enough. And rule number 10, I said with a smile, is the most important of all. What is it? They asked in unison. One single sign of disrespect, one single humiliation, one single derogatory comment towards me, and everything is over forever. No second chances. The silence was deafening. Virginia was crying silently. Óscar looked defeated, and Amalia was smiling proudly. Do you agree to all the rules? I asked. Yes, Óscar whispered. Virginia. Yes, she replied through her tears. Perfect. Amalia is a witness to this agreement. If you break it, she can confirm it. Esmeralda, Virginia said in a pleading voice. When will you unfreeze the accounts? When I see real results. When Virginia gets a job. When you treat me with genuine respect. When you prove you've understood the lesson. And in the meantime, you'll have to manage with whatever cash you have. Óscar took out his wallet and checked it. I only have 200 pesos. And I have 50, Virginia added. Then you'd better manage that money well until things change. Virginia stood up, trembling. And if I don't find a job in 30 days, then you'll have to move to a cheaper place, take Ramiro out of private school, and live like normal people. You can't do that to us. Of course I can. It's my money, and I decide how it's used. Óscar approached me, his face pleading. Mom, please be flexible. Virginia will change. You saw her apologize. She apologized because she had no other choice. A true apology, from genuine remorse, is very different. What do we have to do to earn your forgiveness for real? Virginia asked desperately. Prove to me over the next few months that you truly value what I've done for you. That you respect me not for my money, but for being the matriarch of this family. We will, Óscar promised. I hope so. Because this is your last chance. They left that afternoon empty-handed and with their heads bowed. I watched them walk away from the window, talking to each other with desperate gestures. Esme, Amalia said once they were gone. You are my hero. I wish all women our age had the courage you just showed. The following days were revealing. For the first time in years, my phone didn't ring constantly with requests for money, complaints about expenses, or Virginia asking me to transfer, just a little bit, for some whim. The silence was beautiful. Amalia came for coffee every afternoon. Word had spread through the building about what had happened, and my neighbors congratulated me for setting boundaries. On the 5th day, Virginia appeared at my door, alone. She looked haggard, with deep dark circles under her eyes and unkempt hair. A far cry from the elegant, haughty woman of a week ago. Esmeralda, can we talk? We can talk here at the entrance. It's something private. Virginia, after hearing everything you said about me to your guests, I don't think there's anything private left between us. She bit her lower lip nervously. I've been looking for a job every day, and it's harder than I thought. I'm 35. I haven't worked in 8 years. I have no recent experience. Welcome to the real world. Esmeralda, please. Óscar is desperate. Yesterday, he had to borrow money from his colleagues to buy food. And what have you done to help? I've been filling out applications, going to interviews. I don't mean that. I mean, what have you done to repair the damage you caused me? Virginia fell silent. Exactly, nothing. What do you want me to do? I want you to truly understand what you did. I want you to feel, even just a little, the humiliation you put me through. I already apologized. You knelt because you had no choice, but you haven't shown an ounce of genuine remorse. Virginia began to cry. What more do you want from me? I want you to go to every single person who was at your house that night and tell them the truth. Tell them you left me in the rain for 3 hours, that you treated me like an animal, that all of this happened because I am a woman who deserves respect. That's humiliating. Exactly. Now you know how I felt. I can't do that. They're my friends. I'd look like a what? A cruel woman who mistreats her mother-in-law? Because that's exactly what you are. Virginia wiped her tears with the sleeve of her cheap sweater. It was the first time I'd seen her without designer clothes. If I do that, will you unfreeze the accounts? It's a first step, but it's not enough. What else? I want you to look for a job seriously, not just online applications from your home. I want you to go out every day, knock on doors, beg if you have to. I am doing that. Oh, really? Have you tried cleaning houses? Have you asked in restaurants if they need waitresses? Have you considered working in a supermarket? Virginia's face fell. Those kinds of jobs they're humiliating? Just like it was humiliating for me to clean houses for 30 years so my son could get an education. Like it's humiliating to work from sunup to sundown, to support a family that doesn't value you. I didn't know. Of course you knew. You just didn't care. Virginia stood there on my doorstep, watching her world of privilege crumble. Esmeralda, I promise I'll change. Promises are carried away by the wind, Virginia. Actions are what count. Give me a chance. I am giving you a chance. You have 25 days to get any job. And I want proof. Pay stubs. Contracts. Something tangible. And if I can't find one, then Óscar will have to decide if he wants to stay married to a woman who isn't willing to contribute to her household. Virginia's eyes widened in panic. You would say that to him? I wouldn't have to. He would realize it on his own. Please, Esmeralda, I have a son. Ramiro is my grandson before he is your son. And he will be fine because I will never abandon him. But you have to earn your place in this family. Virginia left that day, paler than when she had arrived. 2 days later, Óscar came to visit me. He looked terrible too, but there was something different about him. A humility I hadn't seen in years. Mom, can I come in? Of course, son. He sat in my small living room, looking around as if seeing it for the first time. Your house has always been so welcoming, he said. I don't know why I never noticed. Because you were too busy enjoying the house I helped you pay for. You're right. You're right about everything that's happening. I looked at him, surprised. It was the first time Oscar had ever sided with me on anything related to Virginia. Do you really think so? Mom, these days without money have opened my eyes. Virginia has been hysterical, yelling at me that I'm useless for not being able to support my family. She said horrible things. Like what? That I'm a failure. That if it weren't for your money, we never would have had the life we have. That she only married me because I had a rich mother. It felt like a stab wound. She said that to you? Yes, and worse. She told me all her friends laugh at us because we depend on an old woman. An old woman. Her words, not mine. I stood up, furious. Oscar, that woman doesn't love you. She's using you. I know, Mom. I know that now. And what are you going to do about it? I don't know. I'm afraid of being alone. Of Ramiro growing up without a complete family. Son, it's better to grow up in a home with one person who loves him than in a home with two people who hate each other. Oscar started to cry. My 40-year-old son, crying like a child. Mom, I think I made a terrible mistake marrying Virginia. When did you realize? These last few days, when we had no money, when she had to face reality, she showed her true colors. She's selfish, cruel, materialistic. And yet, you chose to believe her instead of defending me. I know, and I regret it every single day. Do you regret it, or are you just scared? Because the easy money is gone. Oscar looked me straight in the eye. I regret it because I lost the most important woman in my life, for a woman who doesn't even respect me. For the first time in days, I felt like my son had come back to me. Son, I said, taking his hands. You never lost me, but you do need to make some tough decisions. Like what? Like deciding if you want to stay in a marriage where there is no love or respect. Oscar sighed deeply. Mom, I'm scared. Virginia could take Ramiro. She could ask for alimony. She could. Oscar, stop being afraid and start being brave. Do you think I wasn't scared when your father died and I was left alone with you? Do you think I wasn't scared, working 3 jobs so you could go to college? No, Mom, you were always so strong. I wasn't born strong, son. I became strong because I had no choice, and neither do you. Just then, my phone rang. It was an unknown number. Hello, Mrs. Esmeralda Vasquez? Yes, this is she. This is Monica Garcia, the principal at Ramiro's school. I'm calling because this month's payment was declined, and we need to get the account current. I looked at Oscar, who had heard the entire conversation. How much is owed? It's 12,000 pesos for this month, plus 8,000 in accumulated extra expenses. I understand. Could you give me until Friday to make the payment? Of course, ma'am. But after that date, we will have to suspend Ramiro until the situation is resolved. I hung up and looked at my son. Oscar, do you have it? Mom, you know I don't. Then Virginia has 3 days to get a job. Or Ramiro is out of school. You can't do that. He's your grandson. Exactly. He's my grandson. And I'm not going to keep paying for his education so his parents can live like royalty without working. But if Ramiro is out of school, you'll enroll him in a public school. Like I did. Like you did for the first few years. Virginia will never accept that. Then let Virginia find a way to pay for it. Oscar stood up, desperate. Mom, help me one more time. I promise that after. No, son. No more promises. Only actions. What do you want me to do? I want you to take control of your life. Tell Virginia that if she doesn't get a job in 3 days, the marriage is over. That's too radical. You know what's radical? Leaving your mother in the rain for 3 hours. That's radical. Oscar was silent for a long time. Would you help me? If I divorced Virginia, I would help you raise Ramiro. Find a smaller apartment. Start over. But with conditions. What conditions? First condition, no luxuries. A simple, austere, responsible life. I accept. Second condition, you will value my effort and my sacrifice. You will never take me for granted again. I accept. Third condition, if you ever remarry, your new partner will respect the place I have in this family. I accept it all, Mom. All right then. Go home and talk to Virginia. Tell her she has 72 hours to find a job, or the marriage is over. And if she says no, then you'll have your answer about what kind of woman she really is. Oscar left that afternoon with a mix of determination and nervousness. I waited, knowing the next few hours would be decisive. I didn't have to wait long. At 11 p.m., Virginia appeared at my door in a rage. Open this door, Esmeralda. I opened it to find her disheveled, her eyes red with fury. How dare you put ideas in Oscar's head? What are you talking about? He told me that if I don't get a job in 3 days, he's going to divorce me. Ah, he told you that. Yes. And it's your fault. No, Virginia, it's your fault for being a selfish freeloader. I'm not a freeloader. Oh no, when was the last time you worked? When was the last time you contributed financially to the household? I take care of the house. I take care of Ramiro. Ramiro is at school 8 hours a day, and you have a maid that I also help pay for. Virginia was out of arguments. Esmeralda, please don't destroy my marriage. I'm not destroying anything. Your attitude is, what do you want from me? I want you to go out tomorrow and look for a job. Any job. And have one before Friday. That's impossible. It's not impossible. It's difficult. There's a difference. And if I get one, will you unfreeze the accounts? I will start contributing gradually, but it will never be like it was before. What does that mean? It means you will have to live primarily on what you two earn. I will only help with Ramiro's basic needs. Virginia began to cry with frustration. It's not fair. You know what's not fair? That a 69-year-old woman has to work to support two able-bodied adults. But we need you. You don't need me. You need my money. There's a big difference. Esmeralda, please. Virginia, I'm going to tell you something, and I want you to remember it well. If you don't go out looking for a job seriously tomorrow, if you don't have a source of income by Friday, I will unfreeze the accounts only to help Óscar divorce you. Virginia's eyes widened in terror. You would do that? Without hesitation, my son deserves a woman who loves him, not one who uses him. I love Óscar. No, Virginia, you love the comfortable life that Óscar can give you, thanks to my money. That's not true. Then prove it. Get a job, support your family, and show that you can love Óscar without my money. Virginia left that night, defeated, but with a clear ultimatum. The next morning, very early, I saw her leave her house dressed simply, carrying a folder of papers. For the first time in 8 years, Virginia was going out to look for a job. It was a start. Friday arrived faster than I expected. I was having a quiet breakfast when the doorbell rang at 7 a.m. It was Óscar, with Ramiro by the hand and a small suitcase. Mom, can we come in? Of course. What happened? Virginia got a job, he said with a tired smile. Waitress at a restaurant. She starts today. I felt a mix of surprise and pride. I didn't expect her to actually do it. Then why do you have a suitcase? Because last night, Virginia and I had a very honest conversation. I told her we needed a fresh start, that I wanted us to go to couples therapy, that things had to change radically. And what did she say? Óscar sighed deeply. She said she would rather get a divorce than live like a middle-class woman, that she didn't marry me to work as a waitress and count pennies. She really said that. Her exact words were, if your mother isn't going to maintain my lifestyle, then there's no point in us staying together. I was speechless. Virginia had shown her true colors without any pretense. And what did you say to her? I told her she was right, that there was indeed no point in staying together if she was only with me for the money. Ramiro, who had been quiet, came over to me. Grandma Esme, does mommy not love me anymore? I knelt to his level. My love, your mom loves you very much, but sometimes adults can't live together because they think very differently. You're going to live with me and Dad. Would you like that? His little eyes lit up. Yes, it always smells nice here. And you give long hugs. I felt my heart melt. Son, I said to Óscar, are you sure about your decision? Completely. These past few days, I realized I've been living a lie. Virginia never loved me. She only loved the comfort I could give her, thanks to you. And you have no regrets. None at all. I feel liberated. My phone rang. It was Virginia. Are you going to answer? Óscar asked. Of course. Esmeralda. Yes, Virginia. Did Óscar tell you? Yes, he told me you got a job. Congratulations. Don't congratulate me. It's horrible. 8 hours on my feet. Rude customers. Miserable tips. Welcome to the real world. Esmeralda, we can fix this. I can keep working if you go back to helping us financially like before. No, Virginia. Óscar has made his decision, but he can't support Ramiro alone. He won't be alone. He'll be with me. With you? What do you mean? I mean, Óscar and Ramiro are moving into my house while he gets back on his feet. A scream came from the other end of the line. That's illegal. You can't take my son from me. I'm not taking anything. You decided that money was more important than your family. I'm going to sue you. Go ahead. With what money are you going to pay a lawyer? Virginia hung up furiously. Óscar looked at me, worried. Do you think she can do anything legally? Son, a woman who abandons her family because she doesn't want to work is hardly going to win custody of a child. The following months were some of the most beautiful of my life. Óscar got a second part-time job. Ramiro started at a public school, and against all odds was happier than ever. Grandma, he told me one afternoon while we were doing homework. Why was Mom always angry before? Because your mom didn't know how to be happy with simple things. I'm happy here with you. Really? Yes. There's no shouting here, no fights. And there's always good food. Óscar had changed completely. He was more affectionate, more grateful, more present. At night, after Ramiro was asleep, we would stay up talking, just like when he was little. Mom, he said one night, forgive me for all these years. For taking you for granted. For not defending you. For letting Virginia treat you so badly. You're already forgiven, son. Really? Really? Because in the end, all of this helped us find each other again. Virginia tried several times to get Oscar back. She promised she had changed. That she now understood the value of work. That they could be happy with less money. But Oscar didn't fall for her manipulations again. My mom taught me something very important. He told her the last time Virginia came to beg. She taught me that true love is not negotiated. It's not conditional, and it cannot be bought. A year later, I was on my balcony, watching Ramiro play, in the small garden when the phone rang. Mrs. Esmeralda, yes, this is Ramiro's teacher. I just wanted to congratulate you. Your grandson is one of the most polite and happiest children in the school. Thank you. And I wanted to ask if you would be interested in giving a talk to other grandmothers about parenting. Many are going through situations similar to yours. What kind of situations? Families that use them financially. Children who don't value them. Daughters-in-law who mistreat them. Your story has become well known in the neighborhood. I laughed. My story is well known? Yes. The women your age admire you very much. They say you gave them the courage to set boundaries. I accepted. Every Saturday, a group of grandmothers comes to my house, and we share experiences. Many have made decisions similar to mine, and their lives have improved considerably. Esmeralda, Mrs. Carmen told me a few weeks ago, you taught us that it's never too late to reclaim our dignity. A few days ago, Amalia brought me a letter that had arrived in her mailbox by mistake. It was from Virginia. Esmeralda, the letter read, 2 years have passed, and I finally understand what you tried to teach me. Working has made me value the things I used to take for granted. I have a boyfriend now. A simple man who loves me for who I am, not for what I have. I'm not asking for your forgiveness, because I know I don't deserve it, but I want you to know that you did me a favor. You forced me to grow up. I didn't answer the letter. Some wounds heal best in silence. This morning, while I was making breakfast, Ramiro hugged me around the waist. Grandma, you know what? What, my love? You're the strongest woman in the world. Why do you say that? Because Dad told me that when I was little, my mom treated you very badly, but you didn't stay silent. You said no, and you saved us all. I smiled as I stirred the eggs. He was right. That night in the rain, I didn't just save myself. I saved my son from a toxic marriage. I saved my grandson from growing up in an environment of falsehood. And I saved my own dignity. At 69, I learned the most important lesson of my life. Self-love is not selfishness. It is survival. And it is never, ever too late to say enough. 5 years have passed since that rainy night that changed my life forever. Today, as I write these lines on my small balcony, I can see Ramiro, now 13, playing soccer in the park with his friends from public school. He is a noble, hard-working, and respectful boy. My story has become legendary in the neighborhood. Women stop me on the street to tell me how my example inspired them to set boundaries in their own families. Some stopped being the personal bank for ungrateful children. Other divorced husbands who treated them like maids. Many regained their self-esteem after years of emotional abuse. Oscar has flourished as a man and a father. He got a promotion at work and now manages his own department. He lives in a small but dignified apartment 3 blocks from my house. He comes for dinner every Wednesday and Sunday, and each visit is genuine, filled with conversation and laughter. Oh, Mom, he told me last Sunday. I never imagined that the most painful decision of my life would end up being the most liberating one. Ramiro excels in a great public school. His grades are better than they were at the private school, and he has developed a social awareness he didn't have before. The other day, he asked if he could invite a classmate whose parents were struggling financially over for dinner. Grandma, he asked me, do you remember when we lived in the big house, and Mom was always angry? I prefer this life 1,000 times over. There's peace here. Virginia married a couple of years ago. According to Amalia, who heard through the neighborhood gossip, she and her husband are expecting a baby. I'm glad to know she found her path, even if it was far from us. A few months ago, I ran into her at the supermarket. She approached me timidly. Hello, Esmeralda. Hello, Virginia. How is Ramiro? He's very well. He's a happy boy. I'm so glad. She paused, searching for the right words. Esmeralda, I wanted to tell you, you were right, about everything. That I didn't really love Oscar. That I was a freeloader. That I needed to learn to value things. I looked at her without resentment. I'm glad you understood. She left that afternoon with tears in her eyes, but also with a dignity I had never seen in her before. My financial life has changed completely. With my savings growing, I've been able to remodel my house, travel for the first time in my life, and even buy myself a nice little car. At 74, I am living the best chapter of my life. Last month, a social worker from the city government came to see me. They had heard my story and wanted to offer me a position, coordinating a program for senior citizens who are victims of financial abuse. I accepted immediately. It is the most satisfying work I have ever done. I help other grandmothers reclaim their dignity, just as I did. Last week, an 80-year-old woman came to consult me. Her son had kicked her out of her own home to sell it, promising to care for her, but instead made her sleep in a storage room and work as a free nanny. "Mrs. Esmeralda," she asked, "do you think at my age I can start over?" "Mrs. Carmen," I replied, "I started over at 69. You have all the time in the world." Last Sunday, Ramiro asked me a question that shook me. "Grandma, when I grow up, do you think I'll treat my wife well? Because I remember how Dad let Mom treat you badly, and I don't want to be like that." "My love," I told him, "the fact that you're worried about it means you're already different." That night in the rain was my breaking point, but it was also my rebirth. I learned that it's never too late to say no, that true love includes respect, and that being good doesn't mean being a fool. My phone rings constantly with women who want to share their stories, ask for advice, or thank me for giving them courage. I have become the voice for thousands of grandmothers who suffered for years in silence. A journalist recently asked me what I would say to a woman living what I lived. I told her, "Your dignity is worth more than any comfort. It is better to be alone and at peace than accompanied and humiliated. And it is never, ever too late to start over." "Do you have any regrets?" she asked. "I only regret that it took me so long to act." Last night, while helping Ramiro with his homework, he told me his teacher had asked the class to write about their favorite hero. "Who are you going to write about?" I asked. "About you." "Me? Why?" "Because you're the only person I know who turned sadness into strength." Today, 5 years after that fateful night, I can say with certainty that I was brave. I chose my dignity over comfort, and in doing so, I saved not only my own life, but the lives of my son and grandson. And every time I see an older woman walking with her head held high, setting boundaries, and respecting herself, I know my story was worth it. Because sometimes, a single woman saying enough can change the world.